I played this game a long time ago, when I was a junior, and this game shows how it's important not to trust an opening book or even a computer or database. It's pretty rare today to just read the book and trust every single evaluation in the book, and even if the book is pretty good, like NCO, the Nance Chess Openings. So I studied a certain line of the open variation of the Spanish of the Spanish opening, and I used to like to play this line with knight to e4, the open variation. It leads to pretty unbalanced play, and in this game we go into the main line of that variation. White immediately challenges the knight on e4, and when this knight retreats, white plays c3. He wants to move the bishop away, or he wants to play knight d4 immediately and try to exploit some dark square holes in the black position. So I prepared this line where black tries to free up himself immediately and plays d4. It's a little bit dangerous because his king is still in the center, and this can backfire. And white played this spectacular idea of knight g5, which was first played by Karpov against Korchnoi in 1978, and since then there had been a lot of analysis in this line. So I didn't like the variation, which is now the main line, where black takes and white gets back the piece by playing this move queen to f3. So instead I play this move bishop to d5. The idea is that I try to control f3, and then I'm still threatening to take on g5 maybe at some point. And the main thing is that the bishop is no longer attacked by the knight, so this is not a threat anymore. And black probably wants to capture on b3. So white has an idea of sacrificing a piece, and he went for this line in this game. This looks like the fried liver attack in the two knights defense, and it's just as deadly here actually. So in my prep I had gone to this position, and here NCO gave a very interesting line which I was quite okay with. According to NCO, white has to play knight to e4, then black takes, check, king runs, queen f5, the king hides on g8, and now according to theory at the time and according to NCO, white has to force a draw. And now there's a perpetual check. And because white is down 3 pieces, he has to take a draw. So the draw was okay with me, and I thought, well, if NCO gives knight e4, I guess it has to be the best move. But in the game, white just played a very natural move, queen to g4, and it turns out that I'm just in big trouble here. I played the correct move, king to e7, even though I seem to be walking into different bishop g5 ideas. It's actually better to go to the dark square now, and I'm hoping to maybe play knight to e6 and cover up some squares. And my opponent here played pawn to e6, and this had already been known and played, but it had not been known to me. Apparently Svidler had already played it in the same year, but it didn't make it into NCO because NCO was published, I guess, in the beginning of 99, and the game was played in April or something like that. So and black is just in big trouble. The idea of e6 is that well, now if I ever take on e6, the e-file is going to be open, so it's really dangerous for me to place pieces on e6, so I won't be able to keep the e-file open, and there's just no good way around this. My king is very exposed. This, if I don't take that pawn, then the pawn covers these squares, and the white queen may come there and attack those squares. And it's really hard to play here. Anand actually managed to make a draw here, but I didn't. And he was also lost. He had played bishop to e6, and I took on b3 instead, and it's a bad position in both cases, I'd say. And here I could have still tried to take on e6 and just try to hold on, even though it's still quite bad for black just after rook e1. White's attacking on e6, I have to defend, and then just more pieces are coming in. Everything is tied up. It's not pretty. So I instead just played queen to d5, and after this, check, king back to e8, and now queen here, and I'm just unable to cover f7 while at the same time keeping this knight here. So if I go knight to d8 to cover up f7, then just the rook falls. So I had to play bishop to e7, and he just took it. Again, I cannot take with the knight because the rook on a8 hangs, so I have to take with the king, and now my king just starts to go for a march. If I go back to d8, that doesn't look good, so I have to go to d6 and then check, check, check. It's just not fun. More checks. Check, check, check. And here, after g4, I resigned. Because if I take, which is my only option, rook e4 and checkmate. So, I learned a good lesson here, definitely. Had I just looked at this position after this move and just try to look at different options that white has, think about ways he has to develop the attack, and just how dangerous my position is, I probably would think twice before I decide to go for this line at all. But I just trusted the book, and it gave a line that led to a forced draw, and I thought, well, it has to be a drawish line. So it's not so simple sometimes.